Let's say China.
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 There are next door neighbors, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
You go over to China. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Trump statement, tweeting out insults to Angela Merkel. What's he doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host.
Hello, happy Tuesday, the 11th of April. I am James Andrews, and you are listening to So This Happened. Tuesday, the worst day of the week, hands down. Now, people say, James, what do you mean by that? Monday is the worst day. We all know that Monday is the worst day of the week. Bear with me for a second here. Monday's pretty shit, yeah. You're off the weekend, you're back at work. It's a little bit of a drag. It is. Tuesday, on the other hand, is the worst day. And here is why. On Monday, even though it's a massive drag, the weekend, it's still pretty fresh in your mind. What you did on Saturday and Sunday, it's still there, kind of props you up a little bit. By Tuesday, that weekend, that's starting to fade away into the realms of history. But the next weekend is a really, really long way away. You've got all today. You've got all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, all day Friday, and then it's the weekend. Therefore, Tuesday is the worst day of the week. And first up today is some news which some of you may take very, very hard. But ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump Jr. has told the Associated Press that he won't run for office in 2018. He said, maybe someday. It's not something I'm doing now, but you never know. It's fascinating stuff. It is pretty fascinating, Donnie. And we'll just keep it in the family now. Eric Trump, that elephant-killing fuck of a man, has suggested to the Daily Telegraph that he's sure his sister, Ivanka, would have had something to do with the strikes. Eric told the Telegraph that Ivanka is a mother of 3 kids. She has influence. I'm sure she said, listen, this is horrible stuff. Well, I've got nothing. I got nothing on that. And Eric pointed at tweets from Ivanka herself. The first one, the day before the attacks, she wrote, heartbroken and outraged by the images coming out of Syria following the atrocious chemical attack yesterday. And fair enough, who wasn't absolutely outraged and heartbroken by that? The day after the attack, she then tweeted, the times we are living in call for difficult decisions. Proud of my father for refusing to accept these horrendous crimes against humanity. Ivanka, if you're listening, and you're not, but let's just pretend that you are listening, go talk to your dad. Sit down in the Oval Office, say, Dad, this was really, really horrible, but look at all these photographs of these refugees dying. That's really, really horrible too. Maybe we could do something about that. And of course, today's news wouldn't be complete without mentioning #United Airlines and their little travesty that they're having right now, where the man was dragged off the flight for refusing to give up a seat that he paid for. Anyway, it's a publicity nightmare for them. There's lots of jokes going around. Everybody's been talking about it, so I'm not going to bore you with that too much. What I will mention is that their shares dropped by close to 3% today, which equates to about $1 billion loss today only. Now, it has recovered a little bit, but it's still off by over $600 million right now, which is just a staggering amount of money. And I suppose, don't drag people down the aisle and you won't lose that much money. Although you kind of think that goes without saying, but you never know. Now, in Hollywood news... Yeah, in Hollywood news, I don't know what that was. I'll never do that again. I apologise. But anyway, in Hollywood news, Katy Perry and Ryan Philippe have actually shot down rumours that they're dating. So who gives a shit? And finally, 5 minutes in, we actually get to the man of the hour, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. He sent out a tweet this morning, and I'm going to read it for you, but I'm not going to read it for you as me, because I think it's going to be funnier to read it as Darth Vader. And if we like this, I'm going to do this for every single one of his tweets, because I think it's going to be brilliant. Anyway, here is your president, Darth Trump Vader.
North Korea is looking for trouble. If China decides to help, that would be great. If not, we will solve the problem without them. USA.
Oh, Darth Trump Vader, that was spectacular. Round of applause for Darth Trump Vader. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Darth Trump Vader, yes! Oh, that was magic. Oh, yes, well done. But it was a weird tweet, wasn't it? That was essentially the 21st century equivalent of Churchill, and it pains me to put Churchill and Trump in the same sentence, but it was the 21st century equivalent of Churchill sending a telegram to Adolf Hitler saying, hey, D-Day's coming up, here's the date, we're going to do this, because we are mad, you are in trouble, you naughty boy. And Donald, what happened to playing the cards close to my chest? I don't want the enemy to see what's in my hand. You just said, hey, North Korea, you're asking for trouble. I'm going to give you trouble if China doesn't give you trouble. I mean, oh my God, what we should have actually is a little child voice to read his tweets in. That would be better, but it's more fun doing it as Darth Vader. So we're going to keep doing it as Darth Vader, I think, unless you hate it. But even if I don't care, because I'm going to keep doing it because I quite like it that way. And next up, I just have to play you a little excerpt from Sean Spicer's press briefing. This happened literally 20 minutes ago, so that was probably around about 2 o'clock Eastern time. And it really just speaks for itself. So here's Sean.
We didn't use chemical weapons in World War II. You had someone as despicable as Hitler, who didn't even sink to using chemical weapons. So.
Yeah, that's right. Hitler did not use chemical weapons. You heard it here first. Well, I'm glad the White House knows its history. That's important. And now on to the great dick-off between two ridiculous alpha males, both standing out with their gentleman parts in their hands saying, mine's bigger, no, mine is bigger. And that was a really bad Russian accent, but I am talking about Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, who now they're in this sort of macho thing, which we've seen many, many times with Donald Trump. He likes to be that alpha male, but Putin also likes to be that big alpha male. So what we've got this morning is Putin coming out and saying that the US airstrikes on Syria are equivalent to the 2003 airstrikes on Iraq, that it's going to lead to a very, very long, very drawn out, and ultimately, arguably, unsuccessful end. The Trump administration hit back by saying, no, Russia, you're just trying to muddy the waters. You're covering up for your fuck up when you told us that Syria did not have chemical weapons. They do have chemical weapons. They use them. Russia's now saying, no, the rebels used the chemical weapons. We just accidentally, we? I didn't mean we. No. The Syrian army accidentally hit the chemical dump that the rebels were using, and that's what you saw. Now, I have really no doubt in my mind that it was Assad and his army that launched chemical weapons on these poor families a few days ago. Trump has said so, the US military said so and everything, but the problem I have here is it almost is a little bit like the boy that cried wolf. Donald Trump has said a lot of things in the last few months which have turned out to be absolute whoppers. Obama wiretapped me. No, he didn't. And of course now the administration said, well, when I said wiretap, I didn't really mean wiretap. I meant, general surveillance. And when I said me, I didn't necessarily me. I just sort of meant anybody that I've ever met. And when I said Trump Tower, I just meant anywhere in, well, the world, really. So I was right. Yeah, I was surveilled on by people. And then we can go back to Inauguration Day, too, where he said, the crowds are enormous. They make Obama's crowds look tiny. Well, the reality was the crowds at his inauguration were a little bit small. And whether or not that's because it was raining or not... Well, no, wait a second. It wasn't raining. It wasn't, was it? Because he said it wasn't raining. It was a lovely day. And everyone was just wearing those ponchos. George Bush, in particular, had a bit of a hard time with his, which was spectacular. Actually, I really, really, really miss George Bush. Isn't that strange? I never ever thought I would say that. But he seems so lovely and cuddly now, doesn't he? I mean, him and Dick Cheney... I would love them to come over to my house for supper and we could, I really do miss him. And that says quite a lot about the current administration. Wow. Okay, before I start waxing all poetic about the Bush administration, they were pretty terrible as well. But you get my point. Now, to reel myself back onto track, what I was talking about is Trump and these lies. It is sort of like the boy who cried wolf. He's said so many things in the last few months which have just turned out to be patently false. That when he says something that is probably true, it does give you a pause to say, well, wait a second. And then when you look at the whole, investigation into Russia, interference with the elections and possible interference with the Trump campaign as well. And then all of a sudden, now all we're talking about is Syria and now Russia's the bad guys. And, I don't like those guys. Even though I said recently he's a very, very clever man and I admire him. Now he's a dick. And, all these things, they do kind of, I'm not a conspiracy theory type of person, but it does all, if I had a little, tinfoil hat on, I probably would say, I don't know, it sounds a bit like this is somebody who's saying, oh, I've been caught, I better make some, let's have a war, fuck it, we'll have a war. That always changes people's opinions. And I hope this isn't a war, I really do. I think it would be an absolute disaster. I think even... any more airstrikes in Syria would be a disaster, and I know they are on the table. Rex Tillerson has hinted at it. Sean Spicer has hinted at it. Of course, we always take what Sean Spicer says with a very, very large pinch of salt. But all these people, they have hinted that, maybe this was just the first of the airstrikes. And it would be a very, very bad move. Not just because of, Russia saying, don't do that. Because that may just be, posturing. But then you've also got North Korea now, which has been massively emboldened. And they're now, looking at it going, oh yeah, you're a bully, I'm a bully. And the world's got too many bullies, man. We don't need any bullies. Why can't we all just get together? Why can't we all just love one another right now? I'm just about to finish, but I'm just looking at my Twitter feed right now, and this whole Spicer thing about him saying that Hitler, never used chemical weapons, that is blowing up. This is fantastic. We've got, I can't fucking believe this shit, out fucking rageous, and many other things too. And this shows words do actually matter. And I know we've been told many, many, many times by this administration that you can't take us literally. Well, yeah, we fucking can, because you are the government, you are the President of the United States of America, and you are the administration of the President of the United States of America. And every single thing you say, we are going to take literally. That's what this is about. And that is why it's so, so, so important. Somebody please just take Donald Trump's Twitter account away from him. It's just, you cannot go about and make these big brash statements off the top of your head because you're angry with whoever you're angry with at that time. Oh, Melania didn't return my phone call. Well, fuck it, I hate North Korea, we're going to start a war. Because that's kind of how it feels, isn't it? And, words are important. And what's more important is that it is now beer o'clock, which means it's time for me to say goodbye to you all. You can follow me on quite possibly the worst Twitter handle of all time at So This Happen. Yeah, terrible. Anyway, until tomorrow, I am James Andrews, and thank you very much for listening to So This Happened.
China.
China. China. China. China. China.